Okay, guys, we're gonna start. I don't want it to be too late. There's a lot to cover. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much, CL, for hosting us. Really, it's a beautiful zechut, and really we appreciate everything that you've done and all your work and your effort. So thank you very much. Thank you, my love, and to Ina for facilitating everything. Thank you so much. So first of all, I want to dedicate this shiur to a very special individual. I can't mention their name at the time, but that she have a complete refuah shalema, and Be'ezrat Hashem besorot tovot, that in the month of Adar, that Hashem, Be'ezrat Hashem, will reveal Himself and not stay hidden, and that we, each and every one of us, have revealed miracles, Be'ezrat Hashem. So thinking of her in my head. Also, Be'ezrat Hashem, להבדיל רפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף תועלני, אורנה בת חן חנה, רפאל חיימר בן שמחה שה, לאה חנה דבורה חיה בת מזל טוב, אדל מרים בת מיכל עלייה, ליליאן בת עלייה, מסעוד אהרון, בר מרים, ניצה שרה בת, ניצה שרונה בת שרה, לוי רפאל בן אולגה, ג'ודית בת מילה, יהודה זאב בן אסתר, ענת בת רחל, תינוק בן שמחה, טוב שאני אעזור. We'll say Ben Kol Chole Am Yisrael, that Hashem give them a complete refuah shalema.
I hope you don't have to remember it anymore.
So today we are talking about the second part of a workshop series that is really working on ourselves and our midot. So the first class, for those of you who missed it, you didn't really have to be there. It was really, I will summarize the concept, was to be aware of what middah are we going to work on. Okay, so I gave you guys homework. Everybody wants to, we have to think in our head, what middah are we going to work on? Okay, and then we're going to write in our journals. You can write, first of all, you can write like the notes of the class, and anything that you feel that might be important in this journey. So I wanted to start with a quote in Vayikra, Parashat Vayikra, where it says, "Vayitem atem kedoshim," you shall make yourselves holy. Okay, so the Torah actually has a foundational requirement to refine ourselves, to constantly work on ourselves. It's not something that's made up. It's not something that's just, musar, it's not really Torah, like, okay, be a good person. It's not really like anything in the parasha or anything that you find, with the characters in the Torah, but actually really all the work, all the avodah with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem, is also a relationship with ourselves, okay? How do we refine our midot so that we become better people, so that in turn we affect other people, we impact other people in ways that we could never imagine. And we're going to talk about that, why it's so important to actually refine our character traits. So I want you to actually think about the last time that you've done something and you kind of wondered, like, did it make a difference? Like, did it make an impact? Or was it just like, I did something kind, okay, and you move on? Like, did it really impact someone, and how much did it impact, okay? And I'm going to give you some examples. But before we enter this whole idea of change, we have to understand that this work matters so much more than we think. So in Parashat Teruma, in the book of Shemot, there is a quote that, it's actually the parasha that we just passed, where they're talking about the Aron HaKodesh, and what is going to be inside the Aron HaKodesh, the Kruvim, and the entire structure of how the Mishkan is going to look like, okay? And in that parsha, it says, the poles, it says, Betabat Haaron iyu abadim lo yasuru mimenu. Okay? The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark. They shall not be removed. Okay? So I showed you, I want to show you a picture of how it looked like so that you can see. Okay? So these are the kruvim. Okay? Then you have, this whole thing really resembles the ark, which is the Aron HaKodesh. And then you have the rings, the tabaot, which hold the poles, which are the badim. Okay, so they say lo yasuru mimenu, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a commandment. This shall never be removed from the ark. It is literally just one piece. It shall never ever be removed. Okay, so just so that you see a visual of what it looked like.
What shall not be removed? Sorry.
The poles that are holding
Okay,
the foundation of the ark shall never be removed. Okay, and it's called the badim, which is the poles basically. Okay, so the Aron HaKodesh, actually inside, for those of you who don't know, they house the Luchot Abrit, the 10 Commandments. The tablets were in the Aron HaKodesh. So the badim were permanently attached. It wasn't just for readiness, but a statement about holiness itself. He said, just don't remove those poles that are holding the Aron HaKodesh. Okay, so the badim actually represent the zchut that we have in this world of every single mitzvah that we do, every single good act, every single act of chesed, every single tzedakah, every smile that we work on to give someone, even if we're not in the mood. When we let someone have our parking spot and not get angry, right? Every single challenge where we fight ourselves and we hold in our tendencies, when we don't say lashon hara, where we really work on ourselves, those are all part of the badim, right? The badim. Why do we say that? Because it's something that will never leave you. It's a zechut that you receive that will never leave. Okay? It can never be removed from us. Okay? So I want you to just remember that. And we're going to talk about the ripple effect that we have that we don't see, but it actually happens in the world. Okay? So an example is, do you guys know the organization Bonei Olam? So Bonei Olam is an organization, for those of you who don't know, for people who need like fertility treatments or IVF, they fund the people who are not able to afford those treatments in order to have a baby for those people who have issues. And one example is, let's say you decide whatever amount you can give, you give to Bonei Olam, okay? From that money, that couple, let's say, has a baby, okay? That baby, the Brit Milah, him growing up in a Jewish school, learning Torah, him going to shiurim, him raising his children in Torah. Every single merit that child has is in your merit. All of those zchuyot that child has forever, for generations to come, is all going to be a part of that check that you wrote. It could be even $5, but you still have the merit and the zchuyot that we can't even imagine how far of an impact it has. Okay, that's just one example. Okay. We now, how it works is when we give tzedakah, what do we see? We see a check. You write a check. When we hold back lashon hara, okay, we feel the restraint, right? But the Torah's view is even bigger than that. It's not just the check. It's not even just the feeling of restraint. It's not just the physical aspect. It's also that every single thing that we do is a ripple that is infinite. And I want to give an example. There's a. I remember who was in Hillel here. Anybody went to school to Hillel? You went. Do you remember Dr. Eckstead or no? No. So there was a. Oh, okay. So there was a teacher, Dr. Eckstead, who would make us write 3 rules about the laws of. I remember. I think it was.
Make us define chemistry, the study of matter and the thing outside.
Right. So she remembers the whole thing, but there was one. Law, I hope I'm saying it correctly. I know that I'm saying it correctly, but I don't know if it was specifically him. That it's the law of conservation of energy, which is energy can never be created, nor can it be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Exactly. So meaning that you cannot add energy into the world and you cannot destroy energy. You could just change the form. So for example, there's a fire burning and you put wood. The wood disappears, but it doesn't actually disappear. Right? The energy in itself. Hi, my love. The energy in itself doesn't disappear. The wood turns into a different form of energy. Right? It goes in with the fire. Meaning that it doesn't disappear. It just becomes one with the fire. Right? So it never leaves. It's the same thing with our zchuyot. We write a check. The check disappears. Goes to Bonei Olam. Okay, everything's fine. But really your check becomes part of the energy. Right? So we have to understand that the impact is massive. Now, I want to just give one personal example. This was originally when I think I was telling you about it this morning or earlier. When I started doing shiurim, I think I was doing the Lighthouse project at the time, which was in Highland Lakes. There was a woman who messaged the Highland Lakes shul to send me a message, like to pass the message directly to me. So I didn't understand. It was all in Spanish, so I used Google Translate. I hope I translated it right. And she said, I'm not Jewish. My family is not Jewish, but we stumbled upon your video on Facebook. Now I'm like, the person's not Jewish. Like, how would she stumble on a shiur Torah like that I did? That I have no, like, it's not like I'm doing marketing or anything. Like, I'm like, I don't know how she fell across it. And she said basically her daughter, for about 4 or 5 years, was having nightmares every single night, was not able to go to sleep. Like, it was really a struggle. She went to the doctors, like nobody really knew how to help her. She used supplements, nothing really helped. And she said, when we stumbled on this video, I was like playing it. My daughter was there, like right before she was going to sleep, I was like watching it. And she said it was the first time ever that she was able to go to sleep. And she said ever since that night, every single night we play her video, her shiurim, and that's how my daughter sleeps. And she asked her daughter, like, what makes you sleep? That's so, like, you know, because she doesn't understand the shiur. She's like a little girl. And she said it's just like something in the voice. Like, it's just very calming for me, very peaceful, even though I feel like I have such a loud voice. I don't even know how that came about. But it was something that if she never wrote that message, I would have never known that it would have impacted someone not Jewish, her daughter, who can't, like, you would never think, right? It was only that I even had the zechut, thank God, thank you Hashem, to be able to see how far the impact has reached. So, and this is just from a shiur. So imagine giving tzedakah to such a big organization, just doing a chesed, something intimate, like to someone else, something more warm, more approachable, more friendly. It's different. It's different. And the more personal it is, it actually can really, really change and impact someone's life. And you impact one person's life, you're really changing the world at the end of the day. So really, I want to kind of introduce the impact that it has before we go into, working on ourselves and our midot and our character traits. So Rabbi Dessler explains that giving is not just an act, it's an identity. So every act of giving strengthens the giving self. So I taught this in the Midrasha a few weeks ago when we explained that schar mitzvah, meaning like the reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah. So it's interesting. You think, okay, Hashem rewards us with a good life, with good deeds. Of course, He does that too. But really, the biggest reward that we get from doing a mitzvah is that it pushes us to do another mitzvah. It propels us forward. And if we want to become givers, the more we give, the more we become givers, right? So the act itself actually becomes you over time, right? It's not just an act. So that's what Rabbi Dessler explains. So this actually is important because now we understand the impact that we have. And when we change our midot, what do? We actually, when we work on anger, for example, we're not just changing ourselves, we're changing the emotional energy of a room when you walk in. If you're not angry anymore, right? And you're in good spirits. When you work on your generosity, you're setting into chains, giving that outlast for generations. When we guard our tongue, we preserve the dignity of people it's going to go down the chain of generations. All of these things have such a massive impact. So the badim never leave the aron. In the zchut, and the zchut of every moment we choose to give, to grow, to hold back, it actually really, really never leaves us. It becomes us and it travels with us. Okay? So back to the first shiur, we talked about cheshbon hanefesh, right? Seeing our patterns clearly. How do we know, like, what midah do we need to work on? And we said it's something that, like, bothers us in every day, that we often say sorry for, that it creates friction with our husband. That I always say, like, if you guys don't know what your midah is, ask the people that hang out with you all day. Like, what's something that, like, bothers you about me, right? What's something that you notice that I can work on? And they'll tell you, right? Because they're able to see it maybe more objectively. But really, something that creates friction in your life that you're like, well, oh. So what we're going to talk about is 7 steps, really. And the first one we said is awareness, creating awareness and understanding which midah we're going to work on. And then we're going to go from there. So, okay, so I just want to mention 3 principles before we go into the 7 steps, okay? So principle number 1 is from the Rambam, that the human being is changeable. A lot of people think, this is how I was born, this is how I was made, that's my personality, deal with it, right? And no, the Rambam says, actually, free will is granted to every human being, and I want you guys to listen carefully. Every person is capable of being as righteous as Moshe Rabbeinu. No matter what generation, no matter what circumstance, whatever it is, we are all capable of becoming such incredible human beings, and the Rambam says we are capable of change. Okay, so that's the principle number one, that the Rambam is saying you are not your past, you are not your habits, you're not your traits, right? These are conditions you inherited or developed, but they're still not you. The you beneath them is free, entirely capable, and entirely open to possibilities. Okay, so principle number two, everything that we do in life, no matter what, needs to be gradual and not sudden. We're not going from, okay, today I'm not generous, tomorrow I'm donating $1 million to Hatzalah. I wish I could do that, Bezrat Hashem. But we're not going from extreme opposites, okay? We're doing something that's very gradual. And the Rambam explains in Shmona Prakim,
What's the second one?
gradual, not sudden. Okay, so we live in the age of, it's very funny, but we do live in the age of overnight transformation. Okay, people look successful from one day to the next. Overnight, they became billionaires. No, that's not how it works, right? It takes a very, very long time to accomplish something. And in the Torah, actually, they say the work of the Midot is the work of a lifetime, right? It's not overnight. And the Rambam says the cure requires gradual steps, not a sudden reversal, meaning moving directly from an extreme in one direction to an extreme in the other is actually harmful, and you have to proceed in specific stages. Okay? So, it's a lifelong project. It's not a weekend retreat, right? Real change happens in small, consistent, compounding increments. Okay? And principle number 3, before we go into the steps, is the body and the soul must both change. Right? There are a lot of people that think, oh, I'm working on my mental health, Baruch Hashem, everything's fine. No. But also your body, right? Ushmartem al nafshechem also, right? Your body is just as important as your mind. So they work together. Okay? So we live in the information age. We can read about patients on our phone all day long, but then the second my daughter wants something, I'm like, no, me. Like, we're reading about it, but we're not doing it. Okay, so we have to understand that it's not just knowledge and understanding, it's also the will, the act, right? It's also working with our body and our mind. So it's the knowledge and the body together, knowledge and the willpower. Okay, so Rav Salanter saw what neuroscience confirms, that knowing is not enough. The body, the emotions and will have to be engaged. Okay, you have to want it, you have to feel it, and you also have to understand it. Okay, so all three of those things. And he explains that one must engage in deliberate, specific work on each individual trait. We're going to talk about that. The intellect can illuminate the goal, but it's not sufficient to move the will. Okay, so meaning you're reading something, okay, about like how to be less angry, right? You're watching videos about it, all these things. You can watch it all day long, but if you're not putting it into practice, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so he says it's not sufficient to move the will if the intellect is just there and understands. The depths of a person's character are reached not only through the mind, but through repeated action, heightened emotional intensity, and embodied practice. Okay, we'll talk about what that means. But basically, he says most of it is habit. Habit, repeat. You want to be a giver? Keep giving tzedakah. Don't just imagine it. Don't just be like, oh yeah, it's nice, that would be really nice. No, embody it, be it, okay? So we're going to go into the 7 steps, okay? So these 7 steps, they form a cycle, okay? You can go through, it depends on your speed. So whatever you're able to do every day is perfectly fine, right? The faster you work on it, right, the quicker you'll see the transformation. But of course, everybody at their speed and at their level. And they're not meant to be done all at once. So take your time with each step. Try to really understand. And please ask me questions if you don't understand.
It's 7 steps of change.
The 7 steps of change, yeah. It's called the architecture of change, if you want to be poetic. But yeah, you have a question? Okay, so we said step 1, we already did. Or if you guys want to already write it down or you haven't thought about it, you choose one thing, bechira achat. Okay? It's a focused, singular attention, okay? Don't scatter your efforts to be like, oh, but I have to work on my Hashanah, but also my tzniut, but also... No. One thing.
Wait, what's the first step?
First step is choose one thing.
Oh,
One thing of what you need to work on.
One thing, one midah that you need to work on. Okay, so to be more patient, to be less angry, to be more tolerant of people, less lashon hara, more tzniut, to be more humble, to be more giving. Yeah.
Work on ego. Yeah.
On your ego, right? There's a lot. So, but each and every one of you knows what you need to work on. So you pick one thing. That's the most important. Okay. So, and at the altar of Novardok, he wrote Madrigat Ha'adam, and he writes, the person who tries to improve everything will improve nothing. And he explains, if you take a beam of light, like a flashlight, and you scatter it around the room, you're literally not illuminating anything. But the minute that you focus on one thing, you're able to really be a light. So that's a perfect example of visually of what that means. Don't scatter your efforts. Oh, no, but I need to do, no, one thing. Okay, one thing. I know it's hard.
What's the name of the book?
Madrigat Ha'adam.
Do you recommend that we prioritize the thing that will create the most impact? Should it be the one that's the hardest? Should it, if we're starting off, like, should it be the easiest one?
It doesn't have to
Is
be the
there
hardest.
any
It has to be the one
recommendation?
that you think would help you the most.
Which is
Would be
usually
the most
hardest.
beneficial. Yeah. And this is a personal question that it will help you. What trait, if improved, would most change my life right now? Okay, so thank you for reminding me. In which situations does this trait mostly come up for me? Because is it happening really often, or is it once a month? No, it has to happen something that's frequent. What would look different in my life if I improve this by 20%? Don't think okay, tomorrow I'm not going to be angry. No, you choose, one time in a day where you'll be less angry, or you'll lower your voice, or it's not just, I'm not going to be angry, right? There's steps. So that was the first step. So you choose your midah. Okay? Bachartem?
Shelly's off.
It's fine. No, this is the first step. The first step is to know what you're going to work on. What midah. Okay. Please stop me, guys, if you're confused and
Do
lost.
we need to think about it now?
No, you
I
don't
need,
have to, but
5 hours.
no, that's fine. But that was the homework from last week, so that means you didn't do
No,
it.
I did do it with my husband actually. I swear, over lunch.
God. Only
I
one.
forced him.
You want to, I know. We all want to be perfect, but we can't. We have to do one. So, what?
At this moment, once you
At this,
choose
right,
after,
exactly.
you can choose only
Exactly.
second.
Of course.
always
Of course.
always
Of course.
there.
Of course. So, step 2, you're going to learn the trait that you're working on in a very deep way. Okay? So that means you're going to literally saturate your mind with the Torah's wisdom on that quality. Okay? Buy the books. How do we fix anger? I was talking to someone, I was telling her, I'm going to get you the book on Lashon Hara, because she was having trouble working on her Lashon Hara. So I said, I'm going to get you the book of the halachot of Lashon Hara. Why?
Learn the trait you're working on in detail.
That book's tough.
It's a tough one, yeah. So, a perfect example is, I personally, my midah that I'm working on, which I honestly should have my own journal, is bitachon. Because I have anxiety, I spiral. So I'm gonna study Shara Bitachon before I go to bed. I bought, by the way, there's a book, Shara Bitachon. It's in Hebrew. I don't know if they translate it in English, by Rabbi Yigal Cohen. I don't know if you guys watch his shiurim. He's incredible. So he wrote his own version. And it's so conversational but deep at the same time. I really, really enjoy it. So I read that before bed. So that's my personal way to kind of connect myself and get more knowledge on it. Okay, so now we're not talking about casual reading. Okay, it has to, how they explain, it has to be itpalut, meaning you're looking at it and you're in awe and you're oh my God, I'm so excited. It's really, it has to be the work of the trait. Okay, and then another thing is, which is really helpful, is you're gonna choose a short phrase or a pasuk. This is part of 2. You're gonna choose a short phrase or a pasuk that captures the trait. Okay, write it, post it everywhere. I don't care if it's in your fridge. I don't care if it's on your mirror. I don't care if it's in the shower. Hopefully it's a waterproof sticky note. Anywhere you can write it on, that will really help you, number 1, remind yourself, and number 2, inspire yourself.
That captures your trait in the positive way.
In a positive way, something that inspires you. Or for example, there is some phrases there's some phrases that talk about like the greatness of someone who has overcome anger, for example. Okay, so I wrote some examples here because I was like, they're for sure gonna ask me. Okay. Oh, did I not write it here? Okay, so like for example, for anger, there's one that says Tov erech apayim migibor. Someone who slows his anger is seen as greater than someone who's a warrior, right? Someone who holds in their anger. So it's part of Mishlei, so you can write that like on your mirror, whatever, to remind you like, wow, I'm really accomplishing greatness. Then you have Lashon hara, the Chafetz Chaim wrote, Mi haish hachafetz chaim oev yamim lirot tov netzor leshoncha mera. Okay? Another pasuk that we have for people who are trying to hold back from Lashon hara, right? It's something that, whatever, they write on their door, they get a wall decal or a car decal, whatever it is, to really remind you and to inspire you every day that, this is the trait you're working on, and to really to push you forward. Okay? Then we have, let's see. Okay, so that's number 2. We're still in number 2. Okay. A really important thing. So there's different books for different traits that you want to work on. So for example, for humility, if you need the books after, you can come to me. I'll just say it out loud. Orchot Tzadikim and Mesilat Yesharim. For anger, Igeret HaRamban, to read it every day. For trust, Chovot HaLevavot, of course. For patience, Sha'arei Teshuvah. Right? So that there's different books for different traits. So it's called Sha'arei Teshuvah. That's one of the studies. And you repeat it to yourself. Even if like you need to reread the chapter because it really inspired you yesterday and you have to read it again. But get the knowledge that you can to help you first understand, okay, like what is anger? How do I get less angry? Everything is Torah based, right? So there's always books on specific traits. Saturate your mind with it, okay? And also find a pasuk. So another thing, like when I get a lot of anxiety, so my pasuk that I tell myself in my head, I already like memorize it, is Akadosh Baruch Hu Matzui Mashgiach. Like he is here, Matzui is here, the Mashgiach, he's watching. So I'm like, okay, like Hashem, like you're watching, okay, like I don't have, it really, really helps me. Again, you have to find like whatever works for you, but that specifically works for me. No, guys, you don't understand what she's called. What would you say? While I'm calling Atala. Because I have Atala on speed dial also, but that's another thing. So a crazy story. Can I say that epidural story or like you'll look at me? Okay. I was getting my epidural for my third baby. With my third baby. And okay, this was on Shabbat. I can't call anyone. No one's with me but my sister, who was with me with all the births. God bless her.
Thank you.
And the guy's like putting that epidural on my back, and he says, please, like, don't look.
To
like
me.
To my sister. Like, don't look because people tend to faint. Me and her look at each other and we start cracking up. We're like, no. Eden, she's not gonna faint. Like, we're like, Eden's like this strong, like, no way, like, whatever. She's like, no, it's okay. Like, it's all good. And the doctor's like, no. I have experience. He's like, people faint, like stand over there. So she stood over there, and by the way, this is the reason why there shouldn't be anyone in the room when you're taking a epidural. Anyways, so she's standing over there, but she's still looking, and he's like, "Now I understand." He's like, "I put you over there, so you're not." Whatever. Anyway, she was looking, but I think you were like focusing on the fact that I was like stressed. I don't know, whatever.
I think you were very stressed.
Whatever. Anyways, like obviously it's not like the best part of birth. So I mean it is after, but not during. So I'll close your eyes. I'm scared of needles. So anyways, he's like putting the diapers on my back, and you literally see Adam going, beep, and she just faints. But like she doesn't just faint; she starts like convulsing. And he like so the needle's on my back. The nurse is holding me. There's no one else in the room, and nobody can call anybody because the nurse can't do anything. So she's literally convulsing on the floor. The epidural's on my back, and he tells me, don't move. And I go, my sister, somebody help her. And he's like, don't move. Now, my heart rate's going to 170, 180, almost 200, and he's screaming, I can't say the word Jesus here, but he goes, Jake! And he's like, and he's screaming code blue for her, and I'm thinking for me. And he's like, you need to lower your heart rate now. He's screaming at me. He's like, it's very dangerous. Your heart rate should like be lowered. He's like, you don't understand. And he's screaming at me. And I'm like,
I just tell you, that has worked for me all the time. Whenever I yell at my kids, their heart rate also goes up.
no, it didn't help me. I was like, he stressed me even more. He's like, lower your heart rate. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Lower my heart rate? As if like, you know.
I will beat you if you don't
So I close my eyes. I'm like, and then you see like it's going to like completely, like drastically.
Passed out in the background.
She's literally still passed out. I'm like, can someone help her? And anyways, thank God. She's like literally after 5, she's like, how's mom doing? And she's like still like. And I'm just like, you're never. I don't think you're gonna be in the birth through this.
You had a concussion?
I don't know, probably.
What?
She said, I fully had a concussion. Like,
No.
They wanted me to go to the emergency room. I was like, no, Shalon needs to give birth. And then Naomi was born.
No, yeah. God bless her. Yeah, because she looked at it. But then we also thought she hit her head.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was that big deal. I think it was because we were very stressed.
But what does that have to do with you fainting?
Too much for me. Maybe I was tired. Just a lot.
it's so funny. Because I always say, best naps are under epidural. Like, best naps. But I didn't mean visually seeing the epidural. I get it, but you took it to another
No,
level.
like I think it was the best nap of my life. I should do
That's
that.
how you feel.
Okay, go.
Sorry. You guys are sisters.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it helped me tremendously. Thank God for that quote. But I'm saying it really does help in the moments where it's hard for us, right? And for me, especially the whole anxiety thing, I like was freaking out. Anyways,
I want to just add on, sorry, it's not relevant, but very relevant. So from my experience with the epidural for Shalon, when I had my first baby, I had to get epidural. I chose to, but they were putting it in my back, and I was literally like, I'm gonna faint because of what happened with you. And in my head, my phrase was "En od milvado."
oh wow, that's
yeah,
such a
and
beautiful.
It really, really helped me. So
Yeah.
that's really cute.
You just visualize like Kadosh Baruch Hu's here, like he's
Yeah.
watching you. Like
You
don't
have
worry,
to.
it really like
Or else
calms
you
you. So, so Rabbi Israel Salanter explains that a person must learn Musar constantly, not just know it, but so that it should burn with him. Cry out the words, repeat them with intensity. Let them enter the depths of your heart, not just your mind. Okay? So, these are the questions that you should be asking when you're learning about the trait. What does the Torah say about this trait? Have I studied all the sources? What is one short phrase or pasuk I can repeat to anchor my work? What will I place this phrase so I can encounter it throughout my day? Okay, so it's so funny. Today I went to the printer guy who's like the best. Like he prints all my stuff, and I said, "Oh, am I able to print like decals for my car, like Hebrew phrases?" And he said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna start like making those." And I'm start giving them out, like I don't mean whatever. So I'm like, oh, maybe like I'll share it in class. So if you guys
know where Sean's car is at all times.
No, so I'm saying, wait, there was something that I saw today. There was like a decal on the gas part, and it was like my gas is like my religion. It was like something like it was like very interesting. But anyways, to have like those reminders, even like while you're driving, like to see someone, it's like so cute. Like oh, another Jew, another yeah. So anyways. So ask yourself, what does the Torah say about this trait? What? Yeah, so cute. What does the Torah say about this trait? And have I studied all the sources? And highlight in the book. Get yourself a book. Write with a pencil, not a pen. Write in your book so you can, always go back to it and delete or add a part. But really, sometimes I see people sidurim and they're all like ripped up, and I'm like, that's a good sign. That means like you really use it. That's how your book should look like, okay? Full of notes, sticky notes, post-it notes, things that you like, things that you want to ask your rabbi about, right? Like really, really go deep into it, okay? So that was step 2. Step 3, map your trigger landscape, okay? Map it. Map your trigger landscape, okay? Which it's called data nefesh, okay? Know exactly where, when, and with whom you struggle. Okay?
Yeah.
Wait.
Start at much slower.
Okay.
No, exactly.
Map your trigger landscape.
Okay.
Know exactly where, when, and with whom you struggle. Okay? Basically, triggers. Okay? Like, where do you get triggers the most? When throughout the day are you triggered the most about your Middah? Okay? like for example, someone who's working on anger, like is it just seeing my husband's face? Like, does that make me angry? Like what like
Imagine we're all like,
okay guys, shut up, Middot Workshop next. But really, like, is it like my husband? Is it someone that reminds me of my family's toxic trait? So I like see it in my face every time. So it means like you need to build more tolerance for that person. All of these different things that cause you to get triggered. Okay? So where, when, and with whom you struggle. Okay? Let me see if I'm in the wrong. Okay. And then let me see what else it says here. Okay, so it's very interesting, but most people discover that they have 2 to 3 very specific situations that account for 80% of their struggle.
yeah.
It's most of the time like 1 or 2 triggers that you're like, you can't. Okay? It's like 2 to 3 main scenarios throughout the day, or it could be like before bedtime, like when, I'm not even gonna say my personal struggles, but sometimes it's the kids are having dinner and then my husband comes home late and then I have to put them to bed and then he has to go to cola and then I'm like, but I'm tired, right? It's like there's a lot. So you have to kind of unpack every situation and understand, okay, like where is the trigger in there? What? The nighttime?
Dinner time. That's just like a crazy time.
I feel like everyone's crazy at that time, right? It's just, it's a trigger, I think, for a lot of people. So yes, most people discover that they have 2 to 3 specific situations, and that accounts for 80% of their struggle. So really, that's a big impact. If you really are able to recognize and be conscious of where are the triggers, that's a really big one. So map it out in your journal, okay? So Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, who wrote Mesilat Yesharim, he explains, just as craftsman examines his tools and knows exactly where each one is, so must a person know the landscape of his soul, knowing which situations awaken which traits and which relationships provoke those reactions. Okay? So, personal application questions. In what specific situations does this trait mostly come up? Okay? List at least 5. You don't have to write them now. Just write these specific prompts. I can also post them on the Soul Space chat for whoever's on. Yeah, don't worry. I'll write the whole. I'll put everything in there. No, I have a handout that I'll give also.
Wait, is this for number 4 or number 3?
Tomorrow night.
Sean, this is part of 3, yeah? Yeah.
But it's tomorrow night. I checked.
Sean, it's part of 3?
This is part of 3. Yes.
So does everything?
What
Oh, sorry.
specific situations do these traits come up in?
Is that it?
In what specific situations does this trait mostly come up? List at least 5.
I said these.
But does this apply to everything? Like if I want to work on snoot, for example,
Okay.
like how does that?
So does it trigger you? Like, is it harder because you saw someone walking and she looked really pretty in shorts? You get what I mean? Like those trigger scenarios that you're like, oh, it makes it harder.
Okay, I see that.
Who-
Like the moments where you struggle.
Yes, yes,
I hear
yes.
that.
Who are the people that most trigger this in me? Okay? Like sometimes I see people's behavior and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, maybe that's how I am. So maybe that's what I need to fix. No, really. Sometimes like,
It's a self-reflection.
who are the people that most trigger this in me? Okay? Sometimes like you just see a person and you're just angry. Like they didn't even start talking yet. And you're just like, no. I'm serious that happens. Or for example, there's a specific Instagram channel that every time you go, you just feel bad about yourself. You just start comparing. Unfollow that person. Like that's like number 1. Okay. What physical sensations arise in your body as a warning sign? Sometimes you get the warning sign before the trigger, or like when it comes at the same time, right? Like you start like scrolling and then like you scroll past that person and you're like, oh, why do they have like such a perfect life, right? Or if jealousy is what you're working on. Or, you know, people who work on generosity, for example, their trigger could be Like there's those people like outside the supermarkets that are like asking for money, and they like come straight to your car, and they like, and you're just like you feel like uncomfortable. Like that could be a trigger. I'm trying to think of like other examples, but yeah, you really have to kind of see your day to day and what really bothers you, right? And what causes you to start acting and create friction. And then what time of day or conditions make me most vulnerable? So someone who, for example, has a very hard time being happy, let's say, or they have anxiety or depression. So in a day where there's no sun, it's much harder to be like, okay, let's put a smile on my face, change someone's day, like just want to be in your bed and cry kind of thing, So everybody has those like conditions and the people that they see, or the time of day where it's really hard, like how Yael mentioned that it's usually at night, like when we're putting the kids to bed, or when we're thinking about so many things, right? And people, for example, who have anxiety, the worst time is the night because they're just thinking and spiraling, and it's just like, okay, stop, right? So I actually urge you to, like, for example, if your trigger is the nighttime, so the time where you need to study your trait, make it that time, that it's the trigger time, because it actually will kind of counter it in a way. So with me, perfect example is the Middah of anxiety. So if I go to bed and I'm like, okay, whatever, that's it. Now I go to bed, Shara Bitachon. There's no like spiraling time to think, no, Shara Bitachon, I go to bed. Like,
What if it's something that's like, it's whenever?
Is it all the time?
Like when someone causes a trigger or something. So is it in that moment you start reading, or like you just pause and like?
I think in that situation, you would maybe start your morning off like that, or maybe at the night, at the end of the day, where it's already happened, like whatever, you test it out, you're all in error.
Stop.
1 second.
Not talking to you for the rest of the day.
So funny. And then what else? Okay, so that was step 3. Okay, and so everybody's good with step 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Step 4 is create a micro practice. Okay,
This is 4?
yes, and this is called kivush hamida. Okay, create a micro practice. That's step 4.
Kibush Amida.
Kivush amida. I don't even know what that says.
Your Middah.
Yes, lichvosh, right.
Yeah.
So design a tiny, repeatable intervention for your specific triggers. Okay? So, let me, if I have the printables here. Okay, guys, I am the worst cutter in the world, so I'm really sorry, but I printed smaller ones so you can tape them into your journal. And if it's too hard to look at, if it's too small text, there's bigger ones. So choose like which one you want. But these are the steps. They're written in here. And you'll have also the journal prompts. Okay, so if you want to pass it around.
Design a tiny repeatable intervention
Or
when
your
your trigger comes out.
Yes. Like what are the steps that you can take when this trigger happens? Okay, like my husband walks into the room. What do I do? Okay, I'm joking around, guys. This is not my situation. I love my husband, but really,
Love
people,
your
their
husband,
trigger.
it's still a trigger.
Right,
It's not
that's
a
true.
big deal.
Um,
For anyone that experiences that.
What?
No.
Oh,
Like what are the steps?
so
It's like postpartum
the
and
Rambam.
everyone walks into the room and you're like,
Yeah.
Bye.
You
So,
have paper at the time.
oh, this is yours. Okay, so
oh, sorry. Do you want my?
I hope there's enough. If not, I'm gonna post it on the group and forgive me. You're so cute.
She sends me all this stuff. I have this like printed on the go. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the Rambam explains you become patient by repeatedly doing patient things, not by deciding to be patient. Okay, so
You have to repeat what you
it's
just said.
action, 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 action. The Rambam says it's what you become, what you repeatedly do. It's the repetition, right? It's not just
Till you make it.
right, almost, yeah.
Kind of. A little bit.
I'm all about that, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like
You kinda have to,
I'm
right,
a
right.
believer.
There's a part in
You become what you repeatedly
You become
do.
patient. So you become what you repeatedly do. So meaning like you become patient by repeatedly doing patient things. Not just by being like, oh, I'm going to be more patient. No, you have to actually do it.
Sure, and I just want to say something that what comes to mind when you're saying that, it's like, so these little like habits. So for example, when someone's anxious, they'll like shake their leg or like soothe with their fingers or go outside to smoke or something. So you're literally training yourself to do the opposite instead of doing like using those negative triggers.
Exactly.
Or forcing yourself to do
Exactly.
positive.
Exactly.
Which is cool.
Yeah. So the micro practice is we're looking for repeatable things we can do specifically in that moment where you're triggered. Okay, so if your work is anger, your micro practice might be when I feel heat in my chest and I'm about to explode, I take one slow breath, I pause 3 seconds, and that's it. If that means you continue to explode, that's fine. But as long as you took a moment to stop for a minute, because the more you do it, the more you'll be able to pause even longer, and then you'll be able to be angry less, and you'll be able to actually bring more awareness into the trait, and you're going to learn more about it. So all of that together, that combination really helps us really transform that trait. So another example is if you're working on generosity, okay, or doing more chesed, so you hold doors, give your seat, offer your spot. If somebody asks you for something, don't make an excuse, actually do it, right? When you ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, please help me be more patient. Hashem, help me do more tzedakah. Help me have shalom bayit. You can't just ask for it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to just give it to you. He's going to give you the opportunity to be able to work on it, right? And that comes in the form of a trigger. Hashem's going to be like, is she working on her Middah today? Let me send her someone that's going to trigger her right now. And then what are you going to do? Pull this out and be like, I got this, right? So you practice the trait in low-stake moments all day. So it could also be that you're not so triggered at the moment. It could be like a micro moment. Even in those moments, you can actually start practicing in those moments. Not when it's like the big blow up, right? It could be even the mini times during the day where you're not that angry, but you're like about to be angry. And you can just that's called like the low stake opportunity, where you can still take that opportunity and still use that to work on your generosity. So don't wait until the fight explodes and then, you can't work on your anger. It's also those like small micro moments in your day. Okay? The Baal Shem Tov explains, I wanted to explain that dozens of tiny reps compound over time, right? It always starts from the small things. It's not like one day, right, you're going to transform to the next. It's the little things, even the smallest shift. Like even if someone, for example, is working on their anger and they got angry, but they toned their voice a little bit, right? They lowered their volume a little bit. Or, someone who is not so generous, they gave $10, right? Which, for some people they would laugh at it, but usually they give $5. That's a big deal for them, right? So it's like the tiny increments that really make the big difference. And, a big part of this, the Baal Shem Tov explains that failing is actually built into the structure of growth, meaning that the work is the rising, but it's not never failing, okay? So the work doesn't mean you're never going to fail, you're never going to fall. No. The Baal Shem Tov says that's actually part of the growth. So you might be angry tomorrow 10 times, but maybe the next day it'll be 9 times, right, out of 10. And then laat, right, it will build up over time. But again, we have to start somewhere. And even if we fall a couple of times, right, that's no problem. And also the Rambam explains that a person should perform and repeat and accustom themselves again and again and again to the actions that express the trait they wish to acquire. Okay? So until it becomes second nature. This is, the Rambam explained, is the only path to genuine character change. There is no other way. Okay? Action, repeat until it becomes second nature, and then it's you. That's it. You've done the work. It's you. It becomes you. It's second nature. Repeat, repetition. Keep working on it. Fake it till you make it, like Yael said, right? Another beautiful thing is what the Baal Shem Tov said in Tzavat Harivash. I have no idea what that book is. Even if you stumble 100 times, the very act of rising and trying again, even if you didn't succeed, is in itself the rectification. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not looking only for success. He wants to see the struggle. He wants to see, I fell, okay, I'm getting back up on my bike. I got hurt, okay, I'm putting a Band-Aid, continuing, right? So each time you catch yourself and you redirect yourself, you're building a muscle. You're building a muscle, and then it becomes second nature. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every single time you get up is a rectification. In itself is a transformation, right? In itself, it's a zechut. So don't focus on, when am I going to get to that state where I'm second nature? It's the incremental journey, the incremental act of doing, I guess. Is that even I don't know how to talk right now. Okay, so what is one specific action I can take the next time I encounter my trigger? This is a very important one.
This is the part of 4?
This is part of 4.
What
is one tiny specific action I can take the next time I encounter my trigger? So, if someone makes me angry, okay, like they walk into a room and I already feel like, then I say the quote that I have in my head. And you take 3 deep breaths and you're like, Sharon, like you're really working on yourself today. Something that works for you, that will help you kind of address that trigger in that moment. That really works. For some people, like for example, people who have, sorry that I'm using anxiety because that's my personal trait. When you breathe, hold it in and then out, it really resets your nervous system. I'm sure you know already, and you also, because you're in therapy. But that's a big one. It really like resets you. So there are so many things we could do depending on the trait that really can reset us throughout the day, even if it's something tiny.
Do you recommend a physical or emotional response, or it really depends on the person, like what they kind of relate to the most? Like, do you recommend it being both, so like a mental action and a physical action at the same time, or
it could be mental or physical? So I there's some examples here I want to give you. I hope that I'm addressing most of the traits here, but an example is nedivut. Okay, someone who has issues with generosity and is working on generosity. So anytime you reach into your pocket or wallet to get your keys or to pay or anything, so let that physical gesture of taking out your wallet, you ask yourself, is there a small thing I can give right now, right? It might be $1, it might be a compliment, 5 minutes of attention. That gesture every time becomes a habit, okay? Anava, humility. When you've just been right about something and you feel the urge to make everyone know, okay? Like, I think I was talking about it, I think with you today, that I was like, yeah, last night I stayed up, like I was doing tikkun chatzah. I'm like, why do I have the need to tell her that? Like, if anything, like, just keep it to yourself, Sharon. Like, you don't need someone to be like, kol hakavod.
But it's very inspirational and inspires us to be better people.
Okay, and then that's no, but I'm just giving an example in my perspective that I have to pick one midah, but I also want to work on my humility. So you stay silent for 5 seconds after the moment passes where you want to say it, okay? And so like, let's say you wanted to be right about something and that person's like, oh, you were right. And you're dying to be like, I told you so, I knew it, right? You hold yourself and you practice letting the win exist without it being announced. Meaning that like, okay, I was right, but you don't have to say it to everybody. Like just kind of like keep it in, but be like, yes, you know, but like inside, right? You don't have to like say it outward.
What's that trait?
That's anava, humility. Another thing is bitachon. When you catch yourself running through the worst case scenarios, the anxiety spiral, so you stop the thought mid-sentence and you say, this is not mine to carry right now. And you redirect it to one action you can actually take today. One thing to stop spiraling. So for me, it's this is not for me to carry right now. Shara bitachon, chapter 4, wherever I'm up to, right? And I just read. That's it. Redirect it. Another thing, hakarat tov, right? A lot of people, they fail to recognize the good that people do, right? We kind of like not take advantage of it, but we just don't recognize it. We kind of just like go through our day, and it's kind of hard for us to appreciate what people do for us, a smile, a this, like really to appreciate what we have. So each morning before you look at your phone, okay, so you name one specific thing, not a category, not like my health, but something precise, like, wow, the conversation I had with my daughter yesterday was like so nice, like, wow, we really bonded, right? Specificity is actually what makes gratitude real. So if somebody has an issue being thankful, someone who is jealous and is constantly comparing, keep a journal, right? Every time you have a trigger, like, what are you thankful for? But be specific, not like, oh, my health. Specifically about your health, like that my arms work perfectly, that I'm able. I was telling her the other day, I'm like, I watched a video of, I'm sorry, like to ruin the moment, but that of a, because we were talking about something, I'm like, we have to appreciate what we have, and I was like, I saw a video of like a woman who, God forbid, she doesn't have any hands, so she like would change her son's diaper with her feet. It was like a crazy video. Like, and she wouldn't complain. She's just like, Baruch Hashem. Like, she didn't say Baruch Hashem, she's not Jewish, but she's like, thank God, like, I have a baby, like, I'm able to.
Wow. That's great.
And I was just like,
Next level.
you know what I mean? So really get into the specifics. Like, thank God I have hands. I can take care of my kids. I can make them healthy food. I can build a home. I can, by the way, women, like, we need to do like the everything with our hands, right? Everything that's with our hands, it's very healing, right? Like everything that we elevate spiritually, it's like we need our hands. It's be specific about the brachot and the blessings that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you, right? That's a really, really good one. And because vague gratitude is like, okay, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, like Baruch Hashem. But in what is that like important? You know what I mean? Like your arms, your legs, the fact that you can see. So specific gratitude always lands and is always very, very important. Shmirat HaLashon, my favorite, because I think almost everybody needs to work on that, really, like not speaking badly about people. When a story about someone else is rising in you and you're about to share it.
Even good.
Right. Sometimes even good, right? It can lead to.
Depends who you're talking to.
Right.
Well, just don't talk about people, but yeah.
You run it through.
Always leads to disaster.
You run it through 3 questions before you're about to say it. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? If it fails any gate, you press your lips together for 1 second. That physical pause is the micro practice. It creates just enough space for you to be quiet, basically. All right? Like, how is this going to help in this moment? Like, is it just going to make me feel better about myself? Like, because I need to make myself, higher than somebody, so I need to lower them? Like, what is the point of saying this specific thing? Okay? And you know what? I always think, like, if I'm talking about someone and an hour passes, or not even, sometimes it's even right after, I feel so bad. And I'm like, what could I have done before I said that would have stopped me? I always think, and I'm like, think about this feeling right now, how bad you feel. And how, like, when you talk about someone, it stains them forever. That person that you're talking to about the person is never going to look at that person ever again in their life. You can never change it. You've officially stained that person. Even if it was constructive, even if it gives you relief, write it in your journal. Don't say it, or don't say the name if you're able to, like, not hint to the actual person, right? Like, really use ways where you can go around it and still somewhat get relief, right? Right.
And the majority of the time, it's really just human conversation. It's really not anything constructive. Like, it's just like.
I think it's also.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah, it's your turn.
Sometimes it's also to get validation that a situation you're not insane. Like,
Right.
I don't have that
Which I
at
feel
work.
like is
A lot of
okay.
people aren't of the tribe, so
Yeah.
it's like it's not as bad. And also, no one knows at home who I work with. But a lot of the time, when something was crazy, it was like, I need validation that I'm not insane. So I'm gonna tell you the story.
But I feel like that's more like, I mean, still not okay, but like sometimes people need, like, I need to
Yeah.
vent all the time. Like, I'll be like to my husband, babe, I'm venting for the next 5 minutes, you can't talk.
There
And
are
then it ends up being 20
laws
minutes,
of Lashon Hara that mention specifically for emotional support how you can go about it.
It's so hard,
And a lot of
right?
times it's not more about the other person, it's where it meets you. So it's not like, oh my God, this person did. It's more like, wow, like when this happened, this made me feel this.
Yeah.
Because you're putting less importance
And
and let's
focus on
focus
the
on the
person.
other person. Because if you focus on the other person, that's lashon hara, because you're making the other person that you're speaking to look at them in that way. But when you're just saying, listen, this person did this to me, at the end of the day, sorry that I'm getting I'm saying anything that a person is doing to you, at the end of the day, it's not what they do to you. It's where it meets you. So everything is internal. It's not like the person was like. It's like, you know, when someone insults you, the fact that it affected you is within you, right? That's like you can easily make it that person has a bad day and I'm so sorry for them, I'll pray for them. But you don't have to, like, if it affects you and you have to go talk about it, then you talk about it in a way where does that meet you in your life, and so that it's more internal work and working on your midot versus talking about someone that it's just not going to get anywhere and just rather like making the other person like.
I do want to mention, because I just taught this class last week about the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer are I don't like saying evil inclination. It sounds so like mystical, but right? Your evil side is not an evil side. It's a part of you. It's your voice. That's why it's scary, because you literally don't know. Sometimes like it's rational. You're like, but I have a right to be angry. I have a right to be jealous. Look at my life right now, right? Like I have a right, right? And so sometimes we don't realize it's really the Yetzer. It's really the Yetzer telling us like I have to vent. It's not healthy to keep things in, right? We literally convince ourselves and justify ourselves why we should continue our negative midah. So you really have to fight against that justification, because, by the way, the Yetzer is the best lawyer in the world that you'll ever meet, because it's your own voice. So you're like, wait, 1 second, is it right? Is it wrong? You know, sometimes I'm like, I get phone calls like from friends, and they're like, I just need to vent. I don't care, lashon hara or not. I need to vent. I need to tell you what my husband did. I just need to know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And then I'm like, is that lashon hara? Like I'm trying to like help her with shalom bayit. Like is it? And then I'm like, is the Yetzer talking right now or not? Like what am I? So that's why I want to go back to study the trait, because then you'll know the difference between, is the Yetzer talking to you or is that the right thing? Because when you study, for example, somebody who has issues with guarding their tongue, when they're learning the halachot of lashon hara, they're gonna know what's lashon hara and what's like constructive and like, okay, you're allowed to because it's helping you for your support, for your shalom bayit, whatever it is. And you can always call your rabbi and be like, listen, rabbi, shalom bayit issues, I need to vent. That's a separate thing. But if you're coming and being like, my husband did this, this girl did that, my sister did that, and usually, by the way, lashon hara usually is very close to home. It's a lot family, and we don't realize that it's lashon hara. When you're saying, my mom did this, my dad did this, and we need to fix. It's a family dynamic, and it seems constructive, but it's still, you're talking lashon hara about your mom, your sister, your brother, your right? And even if it's like, I can't believe
you're
it's
worried about someone in your family.
There's
I think
rules
that's
on it.
different.
You have to learn.
It's
learn
very
it. Complicated. It's not simple. I'm started to learn it, because for me, I also had that issue, like, you know, like emotionally, and like, how do you go about it? But it's really, like she said, you have to learn about the traits that you want to improve on, because there's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things that you're like, wait, I can do that, and like you thought you could. So it's just like really like learning about it, and the shana, it's a very, very, very complicated. Like, if right now I were to speak to you guys about someone right now, that means that the amount of people that are in this room is the amount of sins we get. Like, that's the amount of people. Like, you know, so it's like a lot of times when you're in a group of people and you know they're already starting to talk about someone, just walk away, go to the bathroom.
I know people who have stopped going out in large groups because they're like, you're bound to hear lashon hara, and you can't stop it, because you're gonna be that person that's gonna guys stop talking. You don't want to be that person. You're in an uncomfortable situation. So people have stopped.
You always find an excuse to justify it. Like, oh, maybe she was tired.
That's
so
true.
annoying. Why are you?
But it's hard. What you're let's say we're all on this table at dinner and they're talking about like, what am I gonna? Right.
Yeah,
but a lot of times.
But then it could embarrass someone. You could embarrass them.
No, you say general. I had a situation where we're talking about someone and I'm like, okay, enough. Yeah, you say enough.
It's fine.
But that works better one-on-one than like.
No, it was like a few. It was like 5
Cheer.
girls.
Oh,
and
good
they
for
were really-
you.
No, you tell them.
But someone else also that works right.
I feel like you're such a tzadikah that it's not
Honestly,
even
that's
like.
good for you because that's really
It
tough
used
to
to
do.
be, like high school, college days, I feel like it used to be such a thing, like speaking
No,
to
it's not.
stuff. But I think like a lot of people now are more
It's not.
aware
Yeah,
of it.
we're more
I
aware
don't
for
find
sure.
it as big of an issue. I
Laura.
think
Because we're all growing,
Sivan,
so we're
yeah.
more
I
sensitive.
think most of the
I
people
also
friends
agree
would
with
just
that.
like,
But
or they
I
could be like, no,
So the whole family.
but you also underestimated a lot of things that we don't even realize. Like,
Yeah.
like
But
someone,
this is-
like I literally learned something. It was like, sorry, I'm like literally talking the laws I learned, but basically like, one time I was talking to Sean actually, or like, son, can I mention it? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
of
was saying,
course.
like whatever. It was the day of that I learned this, and it was basically like, Sean said something, and I was like, you know, Sean, that's a, like, Sean, she had no idea. She goes, no, like, if you.
No, it's
if the person-
constructive. What are you talking
No,
about?
I go, not only that, she goes, if the person was here, I would tell them. And it's still, according to the Lashon Hara books, and
Even
my
if you
book,
would tell them
that
in
is
their
still
face.
considered Lashon Hara. And I always used to do that. I used to be like, what? If the person was in front of my face, I would say it to her. Doesn't matter. That's Lashon Hara. You know, there's so many things we don't.
I think also
The Chafetz Chaim book is very hard.
But I have another book which is also really good, and it's called Learn Lashon Hara in 3 minutes.
Okay.
And it's very, I like it because it gives you like examples, and like it's very like, I like it better than the Chafetz Chaim, because the Chafetz Chaim is very focused on halacha. This is more like halacha, but like a little bit more like how do you understand it in day to day.
Okay.
Right.
So it's just
That's
easier.
nice.
But it comes back to what you were saying before. It matters who you say it to. Because let's say I'll say something to someone, and then instead of
That's true.
calming the situation,
Oh,
they
yeah,
add
they
fuel
go-
to the fire. They're like, oh, she's this, she's this. But then if I
100%.
say to, let's say something to my mom, she'd be like, no.
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
Shelly, I think you told me this.
I
That Lashon
I agree
Hara
with
can
you,
also be a group of people. Like Israelis are always like that.
Yes.
Argentinians are always like that.
Generalizing.
Yeah.
For real?
To generalize about a
course.
specific group.
That I didn't know.
Or when you talk Lashon Hara about Israel. Like what's going on in Israel, the people are so chutzpah, so it's Lashon Hara.
First of all, generalizing is just, it's an immature thing to do, I think. Like, when are we 5 years old? You don't generalize.
No, what do you mean? A lot of people still do.
Israelis are all like this. Not all Israelis are like that. It's just 99.9%. No, I'm kidding. But like, you don't generalize anymore. Like, I feel like that's such an immature thing to do. Like, everyone is.
It's actually a very
person.
natural part of like it's a survival mechanism. That's how like we're able to like judge a group of people and to kind of like help us understand them. But regardless, we have to learn the trait because we're not gonna know what's right, what's wrong, if it's our Yetzel talking, if it's justified. Learn your trait so that you're not able to kind of like veer in the wrong direction and do it wrong. Okay, and I want to go back to the examples of the micro works, micro practice, micro works. There's one about with the anger. So when you feel the heat rising, the physiological signal that anger is coming. So you lower your voice by just 1 notch instead of raising it. It's not silence, but it's suppression. Meaning, sorry, it's not silence or suppression. It's just you're just quieter. It really tones it down a little bit. So the body, what does the body expect? Escalation. So quieting the voice actually short circuits the pattern before it takes over. Okay, so that's a very good example of something that you can do when the trigger happens. Okay.
Catch it. I'm like thinking, like for example, if my kid does something, you know, like Noah, don't touch that. Like don't open. She has this new thing where she goes into the freezer. Like she wakes up earlier than everyone, takes ice cream out of the freezer.
Oh my god.
And every morning I'm telling her, Noah, don't go in the freezer. And if I catch her, I'll freak out.
So in that case, you would eliminate the trigger. Don't put ice cream in the freezer.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? So you have to also be.
Example, like if someone's catching.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put a walker. I wish.
Or put it in a high place or she's
No, but it's just like my kids on Shabbat morning are running, getting their chairs and running to grab the chocolate cake that I made for Shabbat. So now my husband doesn't even hide it. He just puts a towel over it and they don't realize that it's the cake the entire time. Every single Shabbat, it's the same thing. So now even if they climb up, there's no cake anywhere, you know? So we like became smarter, but that would be my trigger in the morning. I'm like, I can't have one Shabbat in peace. I can't even have breakfast with my husband quietly. The kids are right? Like I completely eliminated the trigger. So it's very important, right, my husband. It's very important to recognize where are we triggered because we can also remove it if they're removable. We can always remove the trigger.
But then
Okay.
are you working on yourself or are you just removing the
Yeah,
trigger?
you are.
You don't have to challenge it. Like, if it can be removed, I feel like let's just remove it. You know, it's just so much easier.
But then won't something else pop up? I don't know. I'm just
Yes.
being devil's advocate.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're still working on it, but you're trying to like remove as many triggers during that. It's just
Like
not
if
like.
you're on a diet, don't put a chocolate cake on the table. Put it closer to your
You
face.
don't need to
Just
suffer.
hide it.
You don't need to suffer more in order to work out. So if eliminating the
Exactly.
trigger can make it.
Did you guys read the book Power of Habit?
So that's what they say.
So Power of Habit, I think it was on the first chapter, they were like, if you're someone who literally hates exercising, which is literally me in this situation, like you're not going to get to the gym unless you literally wake up and you set yourself up for success. What does that mean? The second you wake up, put your sneakers next to you. Have your sneakers and socks organized. Right, or the night before. Put your outfit, like set yourself.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Sleep in the gym.
Yeah, you don't have.
Sleep on the treadmill, turned on.
That was really good. But yeah, anyways, eliminate the triggers and set yourself up. Sleep on the treadmill.
Turned on.
Okay, so everyone's clear with 5. With step 5. Did we do 5?
No.
There it is this time. We did 4.
We didn't do 5.
Wait, where am I? Sorry, guys.
We're at 5.
Oh, sorry.
Example. It was like a separate.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so step 5 is very interesting because it actually ties in with a lot of psychology and meditation. It's called Dimyon Ba'avodah. Engage the imagination. Okay? Use mental rehearsal and visualization rooted in Torah imagination. Okay. So, this actually surprises people, but visualization is a Torah practice. Okay?
Engage the imagination.
Engage the imagination and visualizing. So, Rav Kook explained the imagination is one of the holiest faculties of the soul, not wishful thinking, but preparation. Okay? So, an example. In the Seder, they say, see yourself as if you got out of Egypt, right? It's a visualization. It comes from the Torah. It's not cognitive, it's imaginative activation. The minute that we imagine ourselves becoming better and we've already conquered the trait, it becomes almost like you're like, wow, like I really want this and I really need this. And it manifests. You're attracting that type of energy and it's almost already yours. The minute that you visualize and you imagine it already happening, it's really already yours. So morning exercise, okay? Perfect example is 3 minutes. I think that's my hair. 3 minutes. You picture the situation where you typically struggle, okay? See yourself responding from your best self. What does that look like? Okay? Don't tell me. Write it down. You can always tell me after, but feel it in your body. Make the good version of you familiar before it needs to happen. Okay? So the scenarios that we spoke about, remember, I think it was step 3 or step 4, the triggers, right? Your trigger map. What does it look like if your best self was handling that trigger right now? Okay, what does it look like? But actually visualize it. Don't just be like, oh yeah, like Sharon without Lashon Hara would be amazing. No, really, how does it look like? Really, how does it look like? It means that someone's calling me the day, I have the juiciest gossip for you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm changing the subject. And what that makes me feel. Like, wow, I was able to save someone's dignity at that moment. Really, go into the feelings. Really, the feelings. Close your eyes, visualize. What is that feeling of my best self that I'm being able to handle those triggers? Okay? I hope I'm pronouncing this right. The Slonimer Rebbe. The tzaddik, he explained that the tzaddik is not one who never faces difficulty, but one who has already decided how they will respond. Okay? So I always say, I'm trying to think of an example, but this is a very, very powerful one. So earlier in my pregnancy, we had to do like some testing and they called me and they like gave me these news that I was just like, 1 second, I'm going to faint. And I was like freaking out, whatever. Thank God, Baruch Hashem, everything was fine. But in that moment, I thanked Hashem and I called my husband and I said, what are we going to do when we do the Seudat Hodaya? Like the Seudah where we say, okay, Baruch Hashem, everything was fine. I didn't know that everything was fine at that moment. But I already had imagined that it already happened, that everything was fine. And Bezat Hashem, we're going to do Seudat Hodaya. And Bezat Hashem in the Brit, we're going to mention the story. And this is going to be my speech. after the fact, but it didn't even happen yet. You've already grabbed that circumstance. You've already grabbed that outcome, right? The visualization is so powerful in itself, and putting yourself in your future self, right, of how would I respond is one of the most incredible techniques of really working on your traits. And I really, really want you to do it. I know we're all so busy in the day, but really try 3 minutes, 2 minutes. What would my best self look like, especially when I have to handle these triggers throughout the day? Okay? Rav Kook explained in Orot HaKodesh, the imagination is not merely a vessel for fantasy. It's one of the holiest faculties of the soul. To imagine oneself as holy, to envision oneself acting with the trait one aspires to, it's not self-deception. Like we say, fake it till you make it. He actually says it's not self-deception. It's drawing from the deepest truth of who we really are. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in us, right? He blew into us. We are literally perfection, but we have to take out the layers, remove the bad habits, right? We are able to reach that. We are able to reach a part where we are at our highest potential. But are we doing the work? And we are, right? We're going to have this journal to do the work. And this is where the transformation happens, right? You're going to have the knowledge. You're going to have the resources. You're going to have the steps. And that's really where the transformation happens. And really with the visualization, that really just kind of is the cherry on top. Okay? So can I spend 5 minutes this morning imagining myself responding beautifully in today's challenge? What does it feel like in my body when I respond from my best self? Really, what does it feel like? Like, when you help someone and they're like, you changed my life, or thank you so much, this really helped me today. It really makes you feel good. Today I was actually printing my shul, and this rabbi, like out of nowhere, was like my parents' building. It's like I so did not expect like someone religious Jewish. And he says, I'm so sorry, can I use the printer for 1 second? And the computer, I brought my own computer, but the computer wasn't working. So he was like, can I borrow your laptop? And I was like, yeah, of course, like no problem, And he like ended up whatever, and he was like, thank you so much. Like this really helped me, right? He was able in his Middah to do Hakarat Hatov, but in turn, I felt like you feel so good that you're able to help someone, even if it's something so small, right? You also have to be compassionate with yourself and say, wow, like I'm really like, I'm helping people, I'm getting somewhere, but internalize those good feelings of like, what does it feel like to be the better person, the better self, okay? And what would I say? What would my face look like? How would my breath be? Really visualize what it means to be that better self when you're addressing your triggers, okay? So I want to just finish up with step 6. Account and recalibrate. This is called Cheshbon HaNefesh, okay, which is part of what we're doing. You establish a daily review practice that is gentle and honest. Okay, we're not like looking at our day and being like, wow, we did really bad today. Like no. Be compassionate with yourself, even if you change yourself for one moment in the day. That's really good. Let me give another. So the Chazon Ish warned, for example, that depression is the greatest obstacle to Musar work. The review can't be punishing, meaning you can't look at your day, at your journal, and be like, oh my God, I like didn't work on myself today. Wow, that's I can't do it. You have to be like compassionate with yourself, and it's okay if you weren't able to do the work that day. But overall, really, just keep track. Every time you were able to overcome anger, every time you were able to overcome jealousy, every time you were able to, delete social media because you don't want to compare, you want to be more thankful. Whatever it is that you're doing, give yourself credit for every single thing that you're doing, right? And you're going to also reframe the question, did I succeed? It's not did I succeed or fail, but where was I conscious? Where was I on autopilot, right? Be aware of those two things. And you can do this 5 to 10 minutes before bed, right? So we always talk about this. We scroll constantly on, TikTok relentlessly, and we don't even realize it's been an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. We can put 5 minutes aside to work on it. It's really just 5 minutes to be in tune with yourself, in touch with yourself, and in touch with your work. And also, if you run out of these, I have a ton at home. Thanks to Ina, she sponsored the journals, so thank you to her. But thank God, she has the zchut. So yes, use this journal really to document not only the trigger map, how you're going to address your triggers, what Middah you're working on, the wisdom that you're learning from from the books that you chose, right? But also, how do you recalibrate yourself, right? So every night you're going to actually do cheshbon nefesh, right? And you're going to reflect on your day. Did I do enough? Did I do too little? Did I act too aggressively, or was I able to handle my anger right? Right? Ask yourself all these questions. So every evening, review your day. How Rav Menachem Mendel Leffin explains in Cheshbon Nefesh. He has a book actually, and he says, review your day as if a merchant reviews their ledger, not with shame and despair, but with a clear-eyed honesty. What was the profit? What was the loss? You cannot fix what you cannot measure. So when we don't measure, when we don't have goals, when we don't set ourselves in a specific a protocol, in a specific regimen, in specific steps, we're not able to monitor anything. So give yourself goals also, right? Not just, okay, I want to be better. No. What does that look like? Okay? Chazon Ish in Emunah and Bitachon explains, a person working on themselves has to be like a doctor performing surgery with complete, steady calm. When you observe your feelings, observe them as data to be worked with, not catastrophes to be mourned. This is where the change happens, right? We're not looking at, oh my God, you did so bad today. What a catastrophe. You're a horrible mom. You're a horrible... No. It comes from a standpoint of honesty, objectiveness, right? Like a doctor is doing a surgery on a patient, very calm and focus on the facts, right? Focus on the situations that happen to you throughout the day. So what does my evening look like currently? Can I carve out 5 minutes before sleep to recalibrate myself, right? We said to account and recalibrate. How do I typically respond when I catch myself failing? Can I shift to curiosity instead of criticism? Okay? Oh, why? I'm curious why I responded that way instead of, why did you respond like that, right? It's different reactions to ourselves. Am I willing to keep even a brief written record? Something small, 2 minutes, a reflection of your day. And then last but not least is step 7, you root the change in the relationship. So you want to embed your growth in the context of community, accountability, and love. Sorry?
Root the change?
In the relationship.
Embed your growth. Root the change in relationships. So it's called Ben Adam Lechavero. So embed your growth in the context of community, accountability, and love. The minute that you're working on yourself by yourself, it's very hard to be accountable, right? Because no one knows what you're working on. You're not telling anybody any of your goals. So it's kind of harder to keep yourself accountable. Because you're like, oh, okay, I did bad today. And you start to kind of drift off and forget. So it's very important. It's very important to be... Sorry, yeah. Is anyone lost?
No, I wanted to community, accountability, and love. You said, right?
Yes. So... there's something called the Musar Chavruta. It's instead of Chavruta, to learn Gemara, they have a Musar one, which is it's small groups that they meet not to learn Halacha, but literally to talk about their interchange. So it's very interesting. We should kind of do that.
That is cute.
A la carte breakfast, everyone talks about their day. Cool. A la carte, everybody's in Hollywood, but yeah. So you can always find a partner that wants to work with you, not necessarily on the same Middah, but you hold each other accountable. So I see you've made a partner. I was telling Shelly I want to work on my Lashon Hara, and we said we're gonna study the halachot of Lashon Hara together, and then that will help us kind of in our daily conversations. We hold each other accountable. Perfect examples of how you really can have someone hold you accountable. Could be your husband also. Babe, I'm really working on my anger. Can you kind of keep me in the right direction? I'm sure they'll keep you accountable. Okay, so the 3 reasons we can't do it alone is 1, because we could be blind to our own patterns. 2, our traits manifest in relationship. So you can't practice patience alone. Obviously, you have to be patient to someone, right? You have to be, less angry to someone. You're not just going to be, with yourself. You have less accountability there. You just be okay, Zayar, that's me. It's you... to be less angry? But it happens in the situation with people usually. No?
I thought you're supposed to remove your triggers. So I'm
No. The ones that are controllable, right? Like she was seeing the situation with the ice cream, remove the ice cream from the freezer. And number 3, we said declaring intention to another creates commitment. Where when you're doing it privately, you're not as committed. Like when someone holds you accountable, like did you do this, did you do that? You're more accountable. Whereas where it's just yourself, sometimes you're like, okay, I had a hard day. I'm not like doing the journal. You understand what I'm saying? Oh my God, no.
You're self-accountable.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you can find one person this week to share your chosen Middah. Even one conversation about what you chose and how you can work on it really helps with accountability and finding that commitment piece. Okay? So Rav Israel Salanter also explained a person cannot grow in isolation. So the Musar Chavuta, for example, is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We need the mirror of another person's eyes. We need someone who knows our work and asks us about it. Okay, like, have you worked on it today? Have you journaled? Have you recalibrated? Are you, did you have any situations today that were hard? Why were they hard? Somebody that really can help you out. If you can't find someone, I can be your partner. You can always message me. But it can always be, someone that you're always next to, your husband, a teacher, a friend, whoever is most of the time with you. So who in my life can I share this work with? Do I have a chavuta or accountability partner for inner growth? Can I commit to checking in with this person even once a week about how my avodah is going? And is there a shiur or a musal group that I can join? Okay, so these are some things that are going to be your obstacles when we're doing this, okay? 1, I don't have time. Okay. Number 1, okay? So the Ramchal's response is, a soldier who has no time to sharpen their sword will lose the battle. You have to do it. You have to do the work. The practices are designed to be brief, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, okay? It's what grows. It's not really the time. It's the attention that you put in. So even if it's 3 to 5 minutes a day, that's more than enough time to, to be in touch with yourself, to be more conscious and more aware. Obstacle number 2, I try and I keep failing. I can't do it. Okay? So Shlomo HaMelech says, the righteous person falls 7 times and rises. So the falling is the built-in part of it, okay? So remember that. It's okay to fail and fall. The reframe is, the question is not, did I fail? It's how quickly did I return? And Rav Kook explains, the person we become through the struggle is actually always deeper than the person who never needed to struggle. And that's like 100% true. I can tell you on every single level. Someone who doesn't deal with struggle, I don't think is a human being, number 1. But number 2, you're always going to come out stronger and more learned and more knowledgeable, and you're just going to have a lot more of the resources to deal with it. So it's the struggle that is makes someone a lot deeper and more ready to face on other challenges. Okay, the Baal Shem Tov taught that falling is built into the structure of growth. So the 4-7 times the richest person falls and rises again in Mishlei. So the emphasis is not on failing or falling, but it's on the rising, right? So Rav Kook, he wrote that even our falling actually is eventually transformed. Just like I said with the fire, remember? So energy can never be created nor destroyed. You're falling 1,000 times, it still becomes energy that's transformed because the falling ends up being the success, right? So remember that it's still part of your transformation, okay? And last but not least, I don't feel any different. So feelings can be also very deceiving, right? Because you think, you have to feel amazing and wow, I'm such a better person in a month. No. Sometimes it takes a lot of time. So the altar of Kelm reverses the order. He says feelings come after the action, not before. So don't wait to feel patient before you practice patient. Act as if you already have the trait. And the feeling is the reward. It's not like the precondition, right? The actual feeling can be the reward in that moment. So don't wait to feel different before you act differently. Act differently, and the feelings will eventually follow. Okay? So, let me see what else. So just to reiterate, and this is how I'll end. We began with the pasuk V'aytem kedoshim, and you shall be holy for me, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it is our obligation to become holier every day, and holier doesn't mean, pure. It means separate, right? We are able to actually be separate from our animal soul. Our animal soul is what actually makes us so, obsessed with our inclinations, and it's so difficult. We have our triggers, but the minute that we become holy and we are able to stop ourselves from our animal soul and our instinct, that is when we become separate, when we become holier. Okay, so this is not a commandment. It's also just a revelation of our deepest nature. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you have the animal soul, but you also are made of the divine. So the more you peel off the layers, the more you become more divine, and the easier it's going to be for you to be closer with Hashem and closer with yourself, have a better relationship with yourself. So it's holiness, it's not a destination, like where we're traveling towards. It's actually a reality of who we are, and it gets obscured by layers of habit, fear, and pattern. So the minute we undo that, we become completely holy and separate, okay? So, and then we opened with the badim. We said the poles that never leave the ark. Our zchuyat in doing this, just sitting in this room and writing our notes and being, aware and setting ourselves up for success is an immense amount of zchut in Shamayim. It's an immense amount. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like looking now and he's like, wow, like these are my girls, right? Really, it's really a beautiful, beautiful thing, and really I'm so happy and blessed that you guys are all here and ready to transform your lives. And remember that every genuine effort, every moment that we choose our best self, every act of giving and growing and holding back when we speak about people, it doesn't disappear. We don't remember. Energy cannot be destroyed and it can never be added. It just gets transformed. And so in a way, it travels forward through time, through relationships, through generations, in ways we're never going to fully see in this world, right? But we're going to understand our impact in the next. And so the work is here in this world. And it's the work of a lifetime. But it always begins with that small step forward, right? It's just that small little step. And of course, Bezat Hashem, with this journal, that it will bring you a lot of transformation and growth. And Amen.
Amen. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. If you guys have any questions.